I'm Evan. I'm a teacher at Lingua House. Tonkatsu. Yeah, I love tonkatsu. I don't know why, I really like that for some reason. Okay. When I hear hometown, you think of the two places I grew up. So both are in New York, right? Not the city. Both are small towns in New York. One was from since I was like a baby to elementary, and then I moved to a different town. This town I associate more. I grew up from middle school all the way up until the end of high school. So that was like probably the most memorable part. There's actually a surprising amount of famous celebrities and famous people that live around these parts. So for one, I believe Beyonce, Jay-Z, DMX, who recently passed away, Martha Stewart, I think. I don't know either. So I know that she was there. There were some famous people. So in terms of famous spots, that's what would be famous, I think. In terms of my favorite places though, it was this Mexican restaurant called La Azteca, which literally means like the Aztecs, right? All of my favorite, I guess, dinners were always there since maybe 5 years old. There is like two doors. The right door is to the restaurant. You can go to the left door, which is kind of like a Hispanic food shop. Lots of little snacks and stuff. So I also got to experience a lot of different cultures' foods, right? They always say America's like a melting pot, but it's more like a salad bowl, meaning that nothing really mixes. But in this restaurant, even though there was kind of a language barrier, it's still, you could feel like the warmth of the people hitting you, right? So it really showed me that like people are nice, right? Obviously people are nice, but it also showed me that there's more to life than just one type of living, right? There's lots of different cultures to experience, and I don't know why, I really like that for some reason. Yeah. Skateboarding. So recently, not so much, but because it's had such an impact on my life, I did it from middle school to kind of middle of high school, 4 or 5 years. I still do it from time to time, but not so much now. It's coming up around 5 years, I think. Yeah, 5 years. Lots of Japanese foods. Tonkatsu. Yeah, I love tonkatsu. As a cultural food of Japan, right? It really shows you that Japan's history, right? The society has a habit of taking other cultures' things and then kind of re-innovating it. So tonkatsu is actually from Austria, I think. Austria. The chef was originally from Japan, went to Austria, learned about the katsu, brought it back to Japan, and put their own Japanese twist with the sauce and stuff like that. So yeah. Maybe the breading, right? So like Japan uses panko. Panko is like, technically it's like electricity or electrified bread, right? So it's like a little bit different in terms of the texture. Whereas if you go to like maybe Italy or something, where they also have their own cutlets, they don't use panko, right? They use just regular breadcrumbs, things like that, but also sauces, right? The Japanese tonkatsu sauces, I've only had that in Japan. I've never tasted it in any other Asian country or America. Oh, definitely related to visiting other places, right? You get to experience new people, especially in my last year, where me and some people from my dorm, we would go on a lot of these like little trips. So it all started when we went to maybe like Niigata and Nagano for a snowboarding trip, right? Then we went to places like Okinawa, Osaka, right? We really do try to make an effort and meet each other. So not to say Americans don't value friendship, but I would definitely say that Japanese people's outlook on life and what they value is definitely a little bit different from the American values, right? Yeah. Nanakorobi yaoki. So in English, we say the same thing, right? It might be a little different. You might say like, fall down once, get up twice, right? It's very relatable to my life. Like a lot of times in my life, I feel like I've fallen down but gotten up. I mean, learning Japanese, right? So I couldn't talk to my grandma instead of just kind of continuing being kind of depressed, not knowing Japanese. I decided on coming to Japan, learning enough Japanese, right? Japanese is a hard language, but still getting there. But I can definitely talk more with my grandma now. I know 3 languages, right? English, Nihongo, and a little bit of Espanol. Spanish in high school and middle school. Yeah. In university, I majored in education. I did take some courses that analyzed Japanese education, so it was more like history of education in Japan. For instance, certain textbooks in Japan, right? They don't really address the, alleged war crimes in World War II as much as like other countries' textbooks would. For instance, they'll put it in the textbook, but they'll make like the font really small, they'll put it on the side. It's never like its own lesson. When I talked to my Japanese classmates, right, I asked them if they knew about these alleged war crimes, and they had no idea. So it was really interesting to me that actually, like the way we design textbooks, the way we set up certain materials, it does have an impact on how you learn and what you learn, right? So with things like English, I care more about kind of shifting in this case, Japan's view on language learning. I feel like they take grammar and they try to literally translate it, right? As if it's the same language, but Japanese, English, completely different language, right? Very different in their own ways. They always say like, think in the language. I don't think we think in Japanese, we don't think in English. I think we think in one way, and then we use language to output our thoughts, right? So I'm trying to get people to kind of shift away from translating and more so output their ideas from their original, thinking space, if that makes sense.